I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. Yeah, I get everybody by surprise with my bucket. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my bucket. Everybody by surprise, XRP. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. Bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked now. Bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked, bank the unbanked now. I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP. I'm faster, I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap and my name is XRP.
Hello. Hi. Hello everyone. Let's get started. Today a little bit early. I have no financial interests, no sponsored links, and I don't want no donations, please. Two administrative things. The reason why we started early today is so that we can at least cover an hour. In about an hour I would quickly need to pick my wife up from the train station, because now it's cold and quite dark in those streets and it's quite a walk. But that will take me roughly 10 minutes. So for those who will have a little bit patience, you can discuss amongst yourselves. I will leave the stream running and I will come back. And the second administrative thing, coincidentally, and Mike, you will not tell anything about that. Coincidentally, I will not be here in the week of Swell. I will be on vacation. Very spontaneously, that has been decided between me and my wife. So let me quickly check the calendar. In the week, I think from 4th to 8th of November, and Swell is 7 and 8. I won't do live streams. I will repeat this information next week again, so just that you are sure about that. My Twitter handle is ipinky77. Luna, jetzt nicht. And I don't have anything prepared today, so basically, Luna, nein, let me bring my dog out. Sorry about that. She just ate, and usually she's quite thankful after that, whatever that means. Okay, so basically, as I said, let's just see what pops up on questions and stuff. Check out the new features on Live Coin Watch. What new features do we see there, Richard? Is it like TA? The technical analysis. I'm now an expert. I hope everyone saw my video. Now I'm a total pro. You can ask me on any pattern anything, and I will tell you 2 days later what has happened the 2 days before. Post predictions I'm doing with technical analysis. It works perfectly fine, and I will always find the perfect picture or whatever you call it, pattern. By the way, in my WhatsApp group, someone was talking about the increased volume on Bitso. I think, I don't know, between Bitstamp and Bitso, Bitrex and Bitstamp, and Bitso in Mexico, and obviously the volume there is rising, the payments start to get bigger, and by talking about this increase of volume there on Bitso exchange in Mexico, I was asking if anyone knows the total amount of XRP or HODL transactions going through the system. I'm not looking for the dollar amount, I'm just looking the count of how many transactions. So if anyone has an idea, I'd like to hear about that. I mean, basically we're more or less constantly above 10 transactions per second right now. And if it's just one transaction per second, we're already at 100,000 XRP based transaction just for payments. And that could very well be because though the rise from 5 to 8 to above 10 a few months back indicates that this is actually real usage. And that brings me to another topic. Maybe you remember that about a month ago, in one of those interviews Brad gave. Now I remember. I know it was in the video with Pompliano. He mentioned something about KPIs. You might remember me talking about it. At the first, I just summarize quickly. That within Ripple they had first KPI of signed contracts. And then they realized it doesn't help because they need to know if the contract is in production, if the installation is done. So they changed the KPI to that, and after a while they figured also that figure doesn't really help because it still doesn't tell anything about volume. And since then they're counting transactions. And then Brad mentioned that they're getting close to 1 million. And in previous live streams we have been discussing about that. And I mean, telling by the fact that we may already see 100,000 payments via XRP today, I think that fiat to fiat, which includes Nostros, as in the current system, like X current only, no multi-hop, no XRapid or HODL, that seems not too far-fetched, that 1 million payments is actually a daily figure. I'm more than ever convinced that it's a daily figure. On Livecoin Watch you can see buy and sell orders, Richard. I have to check that. Pointy here. Ian Gracias, we will not accept any new members in the WhatsApp group. We had issues in the past and the group almost fell apart. And then we decided, okay, now let's stick those which still want to continue, but we will not accept new members anymore. I do have a group, and I will put a link into the video, maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I can do it today. Put link of Telegram group into description of the live stream. I have a Telegram group created, but the idea of the Telegram group is really just to clarify unclear stuff. Like, I really don't want you to share news there. Literally no news. I mean, maybe you can share an article from a site when you want to have it discussed or so, but I don't want to see any news sharing, because for that we have other channels. It's really just for discussing. Okay. Tobias Kramer. Well, you're referring. Tobias is asking me why the price needs to be high on XRP. It's basically that simple. The transaction volume will be eventually freaking high. I mean, Swift had $5 trillion volume per day transacted in the pre-GPI system. Now in the GPI system they talk, I think, about, if I remember properly, 80 billion, and it should be already 80%. So maybe they lost already quite a lot of the Nostro to Nostro traffic to other vendors like Ripple. That could very well be. Now, how many XRP are actually liquid on the market? Institutions do not have yet XRP. Okay? And if there is coming a 50 million payment, Tobias, and that's a no-brainer. I mean, in target 2 transaction analysis, and that can be kind of extrapolated for the rest of the world, I could show that basically every 4 seconds, I think, I don't remember if it was 5, 10 or 50 million payment goes through, but it's quite some volume going through. And try to buy, even if it's just 1 million, try to buy for 1 million XRP on an exchange. You will have a hard time to be able to do that within the time limit Odl has. Odl has a 1 minute, maybe 2 minute timeout built in. So when within, and I mean that basically includes like half of it is for the buying XRP. The sending we know is 3 seconds, and on the other side the sending. So basically they have half of that time. If it's 2 minutes, each side has about 1 minute in order to be able to find buyers or sellers for 1 million of XRP. And you will just not be able to do that. You would, on Bittrex, you would right now clear, like, I don't know, about 200 transactions, and 1 minute just won't be enough time in order for that to be accomplished. And then once that, assuming that will work to execute 200 transactions within a minute, And I mean, I've been talking about every 3-4 seconds is coming such a high value payment, let's say 1 million. And if it takes a minute, I mean, after 10 seconds, there are already 2 payments in the queue who cannot be fulfilled because there is still the first transaction still working on getting the XRP in the total amount of 1 million. And that's a pretty simplified version of why the price has to be high. Because if the price is at $1,000, anyone would basically love to sell 1,000 XRP in order for the 1 million dollar amount to be achieved. And that's the whole point of it. That you need a high price such that the XRP is liquid. At a low price, it just won't work. Even at 1% of Swift's market share, it won't work. And like 0.5% of Swift's market share, maybe not 0.5%, but all the remittance companies alone will have maybe 1/10 of 1% market share in a few months from now. Only those. And there we're not talking about high value payment. So that's basically the whole thing. And then after all, Tobias, I mean, why are you holding right now XRP? You should have been selling that at the moment when you have asked me the question, because if you refer to the fact that XRP can be transacted every 4 seconds, why don't you sell and buy every 4 seconds? Why are you hodling? I mean, why? Basically everyone is hodling, everyone is waiting for a high price, and then they all get out, but there will come many new investors along which will hodl. My estimation of really liquid supply, XRP circulating supply, is way below 10 billion. Way below 10 billion. And 50 billion would be $50 billion would be 1% of Swift market share. And also something which I kind of implied in the explanation before, Tobias, those transactions are not, you don't have to calculate the global circulating supply and market. Each transaction goes through one XRapid exchange only, also 2, one on the receiving and one on the sending part. But it's not that an XRapid transaction will buy from 15 different exchanges enough XRP in order to fulfill the dollar amount which should be transferred. I have explained that quite in depth in the Shane Ellis theory, Tobias. Maybe you go back to those movie videos I've done about Shane Ellis, and there are also videos about market mechanics which kind of explain the same thing, and everything which has liquidity in its video title from my videos I can also explain. Actually, on my homepage on YouTube I have a playlist. I think it's called My Most Important XRP Videos. It's like really the most important ones for you to understand what I'm talking about. And not even from those you need to watch all. Okay? Hi Notorious. Thanks for your visit. Matsumura Fishworks. Did you really learn that, or was it based on that kind of whiteboard screenshot from that latest video Ripple released? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just a rumor. Maybe they have been talking about something, but I haven't heard anything that this should and will be possible. I mean, first of all, Ethereum dApps are definitely not something the business is looking into. It's not enterprise grade ready. The only smart contract, enterprise ready smart contract solution I would say is Codius and Corda from R3. Everything else I think doesn't scale, so I'm really not worried. HMX, I will check that. Thanks, Ferdy. Yeah. I mean, some like literally a handful of people has the same belief as I have that it can happen overnight and that it will happen overnight. I mean, I have done about a month or so, maybe 6 weeks back, some calculations how long it would take to get to a decent price with a steady increase, like weekly 5% or 10% or 50% or so. And I can tell you it would, like, unless it's really 50% a week, it'll take between 1 and 2 years, and I guarantee you, and then we were roughly at $500, and 500 at that point in time just will not cut the cake. In a year from now, I would be totally surprised if we do not see mid-range, like 4-digit values. And I mean, we're basically live since about a year, and a year ago the price was almost 3 times as high as it is today. So basically that cannot be the solution. And I mean, even when we in the past 2-3 weeks saw those surges, 5, 10, 12%, 2 days later it dropped again 8%. So what's the point? I mean, as long as in order for the price to really be high enough to matter, there would need to be like constant daily increase of 2 to 10% daily, such that we have in about a year's time the price that the system will require, and everything else is bullshit. I don't know if Shane is listening today, but I don't think Shane Ellis is watching my videos. That would be total surprise. Tobias Kramer, no, I don't think XRP will be a reserve currency. It will always lack the one characteristic of a reserve currency, and that's stability over 1, 2, 3 years. I mean, few percents in volatility is fine, but XRP, depending on how much market share that will take from SWIFT or from the global payment market, it'll rise in jumps, and that's just not a property from a reserve currency. I do see, however, XRP, and of that I'm 100% convinced, as the future medium of exchange of value. Yeah. But for me, with the lack of that feature that a reserve currency has to have a stable value, for me XRP will not be a reserve currency, and also reserve currency basically mean that I mean, each country doing trade, they have to hold somehow US dollars in order for the im and export to work properly. And countries themselves or central banks will never ever hold XRP. It'll be a medium of exchange, a bridge asset. That's really important to understand, guys. It's also really important to understand in the perspective of price. A bridge asset doesn't need to have a fixed price. I mean, sure, throughout the day, but in 2 weeks' time that price could be 50% more or less, and it'll still work, pending it was already high enough before. That's this assumption that a bridge asset cannot have a stable price, which is basically, I mean, when David Schwartz is talking about XRP not being backed or pegged to anything, he is referring to the counterparty risk, because as soon as you have or third party risk, I mean, as soon as you have it backed or pegged to something, there is a risk involved, because you always need to make sure to back it properly. And that's actually the nice thing of that proposed stablecoin functionality from David Schwartz on XRP Ledger, because there you can guarantee this backing programmatically. There will be either there is a stablecoin or there isn't, and when there is, the backing will be there. So that was one thing, the backing, and now the other thing I wanted. And I mean, there wouldn't be enough even XRP if it were a reserve currency. Then it would be like, I don't know, in the region of 100,000 or higher for it to be really a reserve currency. So that's the reasons why will never ever happen. XRP passionate. That's not Raf, right? Raf has another handle, I don't remember. Polysign. I mean, Polysign, basically few people I think have a clue what Polysign is doing. I believe Polysign is creating a solution which will make it easy to hold and use cryptocurrencies. I mean, right now, the problem is that in most cryptocurrency, as soon as I send the guy, Kevin Patterson as example, XRP, he knows my address and he can look it up how many XRP I have. That's something I don't want. I don't want anyone to know how many XRP I have. But I don't know. I think Polysign will build something in the custodian area so that banks will be able to offer to their clients holding cryptocurrencies, but maybe that custodial service will also have something like a proxy, like multi-hop basically, where you have the sender and the receiver, and because the sender doesn't want no one to know his address, he will send his XRP to a proxy. So only the proxy will know whom sent the XRP, and the receiver will then know the address of the proxy, but because each different receiver will then only know the address of the proxy, it will not be a problem because the proxy will always have more or less 0 coins. The transaction cost would be higher because there would be 2 transactions involved, obviously, and that will only work for cryptocurrencies with high scalability. Like Bitcoin wouldn't work that way. I mean, you would have to wait a day for the payment to go through. Totally a no-go. But from what XRP Passionate, from what David Schwartz in one of his interviews kind of wanted to say but couldn't say, I think it will be something really huge. Tobias is asking about my expectations of banks going to use XRP's benefits. I mean, Brett Garlinghouse said a year ago, or more or less a year ago, that by the end of 2019, dozens of banks will be using XRP in their transactions. And for me, dozens means at least 50. But this could be thanks to the superhighway scale model. Could be way more. I mean, Finastra has announced the deal with Ripple that basically all their, I think, 9,000 customers can use RippleNet, and 90 from the top 100 banks are Finastra customers. Okay, that doesn't mean that all those 90 are actually using the payment rails Finastra's software products are offering, because Finastra is offering other banking solutions like treasury management, liquidity management, etc. But even if it's 10% of those, it'll be, and that's just the top, from the top 100 banks. I'm pretty sure it'll be 50 banks. And I mean, in my past videos, I have shown, I mean, when we really did see a good, like, mixture of 50 banks around the world. I mean, SBI alone has 60 banks. I mean, stupid, forget it. It'll be way more than 50. It'll be way more than 50. Basically all, and this is something I don't know if the, what's the name? If the credit unions in US, if they are counted as one bank towards the 11,000 customers of SWIFT, or if each individual credit union is counted as a customer. If that were the case, we would be like easily over 1,000 banks, because the credit unions, and I think it's about, I don't know, I wrote 1,400, but I think it's even more. I think it's 4,200 credit unions and something, and community banks, I think, together. I had always the figure 1,400 credit unions in my mind, but maybe I get it wrong. But those ones are all working with Finastra, I think, as well. And as we know, Finastra customers are RippleNet enabled if they want to. And by the way, a year ago, as well, 2018, everyone was disappointed when Catalyst Corporate Credit Union was announced as one of the first 3 XRP customers. But now, knowing that 1,400 credit unions all around the US can basically make use of that via multi-hop and everything, that makes all of a sudden total sense. And you have to be aware that the credit unions, if you count them as one bank together, I think it would be the 5th largest bank in US. So it's quite a number. Exactly, Richard. Dozens is at least 50. Otherwise you would say 2 dozens, 3 dozens, something like that. But dozens is like between 4 and 8 dozens, something around that. Robert Enzo, because is asking why, if you could trade oil and stocks on XRP, why it wouldn't be a reserve currency? Because a reserve currency requires it to be held by the countries, and that will never happen. You will not need to hold XRP as an institution wanting to transmit value. You really don't need that. These stable coins I explained in last week's live stream. There is 3 things: the Solo Chainik project from Coinfield. They create they issue IOUs on XRP ledger, and those IOUs are backed by the real asset, by a stock or gold or oil or whatever, and that backing is handled via their own blockchain functionality. Also with the Solo coin has also a role in there. Then the second solution is the from David Schwartz proposed XRP functionality enhancements to have stable coins on XRP ledger. And then we have I think it's from Kava, the USDX, which is a coin being backed by XRP, and thus it should also kind of be a stable coin. And I explained why this is important, because liquidity, kind of the way Miguel Villas, the guy at Ripple which is responsible for liquidity, the way he explained it, when liquidity is at its best, it's basically traded every day and everywhere. His vision would be that XRP could be listed on the foreign exchanges in the listing of those foreign exchanges, like dollar, euro, yen, renminbi, whatever. That'll be perfect, and every part of that ecosystem helps making XRP fluid. Perhaps sometimes. Guys, calm down. It's literally, I don't want you fighting on my channel and anything. I mean, we're all adults here. Someone asked about price predictions. I don't do price predictions anymore because I terribly failed in the past, as everyone else did in the past 18 months or so. The only thing I say, as soon as high value payments start going through the system, we will see very fast, very fast 4 digits, lower 4-digit values. Then everything else just doesn't make sense. Empire is asking if Swift will ever admit defeat to Ripple. What many don't know, Swift is not just doing payments, they are also doing other stuff. Don't ask me what other stuff, but the payment messages amounts to, I think, roughly 50% of the total payment volume they have. So they're doing other stuff as well. Maybe they will be doing that other stuff also in the future. But I mean, why would it? I mean, they wouldn't even need to call defeat to Ripple. I mean, it's basically, did you ever call CompuServe or AOL call defeat on other internet providers? No, you didn't. I mean, they just ceased to exist in one point of time. Robert Enzo, that's basically Robert Enzo is making a remark that banks are actually looking for security outside banks. I mean, that was the first premise or promise of cryptocurrencies, that you do not need banks anymore. But that's just half the truth. Who will lend you money if you want to buy a house? If there are no banks anymore, there won't be a credit system anymore. Basically, the economy would collapse. It only works through credit and interests paid on that credit, and that's something many people don't understand. And I know these mechanics can at times be quite terrifying in terms of interest rates and stuff, and generated new money. But that's how our world works. Yeah. Um. I mean, I can understand those people in country like I think in Cyprus a few years back they took, I don't know, about 10% of each customer's bank account. I mean, I don't know if that would be possible in Switzerland, but I trust it will not happen. I mean, eventually, do you really have more security if all your wealth is in a cryptocurrency? What do you need? As long as you cannot go to Starbucks and pay for your coffee with that particular cryptocurrency, you need to convert into fiat in one place or in another, okay? And basically, a government, US government, could just shut down all exchanges, all crypto exchanges in the US. And then you have your crypto, and you can only sell it against Thai baht. Funny. I mean, that's not really. I mean, this total security. I understand what you're trying to imply, Robert Denz, I think, but you will never ever find that totally. If a government wants to get money or to cut money on their people, they will be able to do so. Yeah. I see today is not at least almost 100 people watching. Are there more questions? Because actually when the questions are getting a bit less now, that would fit me well, because I would need to leave in 15 minutes anyway. So is that okay with you guys if we stop in 15 minutes? And I want to repeat again, I will have only next week, also this Thursday in German, and next week English and German live stream, and in the week of Swell I'm coincidentally on vacation, which may be disappointing for some of you, because I will not be able to give my thoughts. But I mean, basically I would anyway only be able to give thoughts in the German live stream, so the English speaking followers wouldn't miss anything anyway, because I anyway will only be able to talk about Swell the Tuesday after Swell. Did I address all questions properly? It's quite calm today. Unbelievable. One of my most, I mean, besides a few heated up discussions between you guys, but more or less it's been quite calm today. Well, on that, however, Robert Enzo, I totally agree that XRP will be something like the most trusted. Even though, don't get me wrong, it may happen, but I don't see myself ever paying in a store with XRP. I just don't see that happening. And it's, as a matter of fact, it's not needed. With ILP in the background, we have these rails. So basically I can pay with anything, with Apple stock. with a tokenized Apple stock and buy my Coke. Maybe I just sell the doorknob of the Apple headquarters by buying a Coke. I really don't know. Yeah, calm before the storm. That's actually. Let me ask you a question then. Well, Darius Rogovsky, do you know? I mean, if or not, maybe they're just not talking about investing into XRP, those Grayscale and BlackRock and all those big investment companies. Let me ask you guys a question. What do you think about the fact that Ripple invited, I don't know, I know about 2 or 3 people from Twitter and or YouTube who were invited, but I think it was a bit more, maybe 8 or so, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? And what do you guys think about that? I hope you all have seen it. Ripple is making advertising for like end customers like you and me. There is a video out, I think today or yesterday. Check it out, it's really worth watching. Like people waiting for the money and they look on their mobile phone, it's there. Like really showing that it goes fast. Give me your thinking about this new kind of angle from Ripple. Because so far they have been targeting the financial institutions. We didn't see any advertising at all, basically. And now they're having this video out, and as I understood it, I think it's even shown on TV in some countries, I think. And they're inviting like community people to swell. What's that change about? Give me your thoughts. It means they're ready to start the party. That was actually my first gut feeling, Nazario Parisi. I mean, I really don't know. What I could imagine though, what could happen in due time, but this is totally unbased. It's just something I could see happening in the coming months. That Ripple, the company, is actually having a going public and offering their stock on exchanges, and that'll be for traditional investors one possibility to participate in the wealth of XRP, because every XRP Ripple sells will give them obviously some profit, and as we all know, profit is usually paid out to shareholders as dividend. So that's something I could see happening. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole and theorize too much about that, but it's something I really can see happening. So we're all kind of on the same page roughly, that we think maybe something big is announced. I mean, why did MoneyGram like prepone, not postpone, but prepone, I don't know how it's called, pre-schedule the release of their Q3 report, financial report? That's very, very unusual. I mean, usually it's postponed, but not taken in advance. But guys, I mean, what's the name of that guy of Ripple I like so much? The Indian guy. I lost his name. Not Navin Gupta, the other one. Ashish Birla also not. Dilip Rao, thanks, Miko Gold. Dilip Rao used to say, hold my horses. I mean, maybe we're all kind of like walking in a polluted area, in an area polluted by our own hopes and dreams. I think Steve Jobs had a term for that. That when you cannot see outside your reality anymore, and I didn't do that for quite some time, but maybe it's time today. Do you guys think that all those connected dots and superhighway and all what we know, that this is still bullshit, that we just want to believe it, and that it actually will take 3 more years until it happens? Or will it happen? And is it the way like it is? I mean, I hope you know where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to figure out, are we blind? I don't think so. Some people called me kind of like too XRP focused. But that's the reason why I why I need to have feedback from you guys. Tunnel vision maybe, yeah. No, it does not happen overnight, but I mean, they're working on it for, I don't know, years now. Okay, then let's come slowly to a close. I will wait for one last question, otherwise I will thank you again for following me, for trusting me, for persisting with me, for questioning me. Please don't fight amongst each other. It's really useless. I lost so much energy in the last 18 months fighting with idiots. I mean, best example is Galgitron and me. I think the price will go like that, and Galgitron thinks it will increase slowly. We're totally contradictory. But I accept his reasoning. He has proper reasoning. He accepts my reasoning. I mean, or that I have a reasoning. Only he doesn't understand my reasoning, and I don't understand his reasoning. But we let each other live, because basically neither him nor me, we do not really know how it will develop in the end. And I mean, you can call someone an idiot if he's trying to sell you 1 and 1 is 3, then he's obviously an idiot. But instead of trying to fight him, just let him be and continue to believe that 1 and 1 is 3. Yes, XRP. I have seen that. We have discussed it early on. If you just joined now, XRP, go back to maybe minute 10, 15 or so of the live stream. Okay, with that I wanna say goodbye for today. I'm happy that anyway, even though I started like 30 minutes earlier, quite some people were watching. 80 people, it's almost 5% of my customers. That's good for a live stream, I think. I'm looking forward having another nice discussion with you in English next Tuesday, and then the week after as well, again, because I'm on vacation. I will repeat that in my next 3 live streams in English and German as well, that I will be on vacation, so that you are not waiting in that week for my live streams. And check the description of this video. I will put the link to my Telegram group. But as I said, it's not for news sharing. It's for questions and answers, and many participants talking German, so like half of the stuff being discussed you might not even understand. Okay? And with that, I wish you, wherever you are, those who are in Europe, a nice night. Those who are in Asia, nice day. No, those in US, a nice day. And those in Asia, I don't know what I wish them. Maybe a good sleep. Okay, take care. Bye bye. All the money. CSC Bain, I will put it in the description of this live stream, but not now. Maybe tomorrow. Check back tomorrow. It'll be there. Okay, CSC Bain. Bye bye.